Morning, this is Brian. Today is Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. I'm here at Onyx Summit, the highest point on Highway 38, just outside of Big Bear. Onyx Summit is at 8,443 feet in elevation, and I was going to try to go up to Peak 8918 over near Sugarloaf Mountain, but the dirt road that leads over towards the Green Canyon Trailhead, 2N93, is closed. I feel like hiking that extra distance in. So, I think I might go back to an old standby. Onyx Peak. Now, today, do I hike it the normal way through the PCT, or the dirt road, roughly 6 mile round trip hike? Or do I go and try a cross country way to get up there? Try a gully? I don't know. Think about that one today. I guess I got some thinking to do. So this is the Onyx Summit. Used to be marked. Used to have a green sign that says Onyx Summit, 8,443 feet. Somehow that sign disappeared a couple years ago. And now it's no longer there. Actually, it's been a few years since it's been gone. I don't know whatever happened to it. Why it hadn't been replaced. So. Let's see. Let me decide this today. Kind of decide how this will go. This is definitely not a planned hike. It's kind of a backup plan, actually. I was considering Sugarloaf too. Sugarloaf Mountain looks largely free of snow. Go figure. So, yeah, kind of disappointed. I was kind of hoping to get up to a new peak today, and that did not work out again. Unless I wanted to hike that extra distance along 2N93. Kind of disappointed, actually. So, guess I'll just work on this, I guess. Dang. Really wanted to crack some new territory today, get some new footage on video. I've been up to Onyx Peak a few times already. At least twice. And one back in 2020. I'm gonna go head up this way. Let's see. Yeah, back in 2020 was the last time I was up at Onyx Peak. It's an awesome peak. Beautiful hike. Don't get it twisted. It is an awesome hike. It's just wanted to get something different in today. Well, I'm just going to follow this roadbed here. See where this leads. Now, the first time I did it was back in 2017, and my friend and I, Brett, I didn't get this on video that time. He and I hiked up a combination of PCT and dirt road to get to the summit. And then did it by myself in 2020, and I just hiked the road roughly 3 miles up and 3 miles down. Look at that beautiful Sierra juniper right there. Juniperus grandis. Of course, in front of it is a single leaf pinion, Pinus monophylla, but One of the big attractions on hiking in this area, southeast of Big Bear in the higher terrain, and also northeast of Big Bear in the higher terrain as well, are these. It's one of the big attractions, at least in my humble opinion. You get some massive old Sierra junipers. That's one way, and this is a classic hike here in Southern California. Classic hiking is getting to be up next to some massive junipers. Now, there are lots of Sierra junipers in this area and also northeast of Big Bear Lake. One thing you'll notice is some of them, usually these trees are kind of squat, fat trunked and very squat, not extremely tall. But then you do get some that get quite tall and narrow, almost looking like an incense cedar, which is kind of crazy. Here's the Pacific Crest Trail, by the way. I've seen a few along Highway 38 that are very tall and narrow, almost looking like they're cousins, the incense cedars, because they're in the cypress family. And some of them are tall and narrow. So here's a PCT. This is the way you would go to start hiking towards Onyx Peak. And this will take you to some other Sierra Club peaks. I think Wysep Peak. I hiked up to Wysep Peak this way once before. That was back in 2018, and that was I lost all my footage for that one. Of course, most of my footage for that one, unfortunately. So I'm gonna follow this old roadbed straight. See if I can make a new adventure out of this today. Let's follow this roadbed up. If it doesn't lead to anywhere I feel comfortable going up, then I'll turn around. But just want to see where this leads and to see what I can do by following this for a short spell. Looks like it's probably going to peter out soon. And then maybe start climbing up a gully and see what happens. As long as I know my landmarks, I should be fine. See, this turns into a small single track now. And it looks like it's going to end in the gulch. So we'll see. We'll see how this turns out today. This could be an interesting adventure. All right, see you up the way. All right, so the single track starts to peter out here at the base of this gully. So I wonder where this will lead. If this will lead me up towards Onyx Peak. If you take the PCT, it's going to be more of a roundabout way. If you take the road, it'll also be a roundabout way. That's fine if you want some distance. But if you've done those both before, want to vary it up, I just want to see if this here will be a good alternative. Now on the way back I can follow the road or PCT down maybe. So I'm going to go head up this gulch here and see what happens. The elevation gain to get up to Onyx Peak is roughly about 700 feet. The summit is 9,113. So we'll see how this goes. All right, well, we'll see. Should be an interesting day. At least I can make a new adventure out of it. I don't know if this will exactly lead me up to the peak, but should lead me up towards the shoulder or something. Pretty interesting. This area also has a lot of curleaf mountain mahogany, Cercocarpus ledifolius variety intermontanus. Onyx Peak, the summit area, is where I did the spotlight video. Ooh. Oh, we got, looks like desert sage here. Yep, Salvia pachyphylla. Probably won't be blooming for a little while. It's more of a summer bloomer. And it gets these flowers with these purple leafy bracts on them. Flower clusters with leafy bracts on them. Absolutely gorgeous. There's that western wallflower again. Late spring, early summer stunner up here in the mountains. So let's see. There's a lot of bushwhacking involved. We'll see. All right. Keep updating you up the way of this gully. See what happens today. Yeah, that's a pretty beautiful gully. It almost looks like, I don't know if my mind is doing a matrix thing with the terrain, but it almost looks like some kind of pathway, but it's probably just my mind looking for lines in the soil. I think I'm going to go around this way. I don't know if this is an ancient footpath from a very long time ago, or what it is. But it just kind of almost looked like it appeared for a minute there. I think it's just probably just my mind trying to make patterns out of things. So don't take my word that, oh yes, there's definitely a path here. It just kind of looked like one. There's a pretty beautiful gully here. So we're basically heading east, northeast up this gully. I can tell because the direction the sun is. It's June, so the sun rises pretty far north of east this time of year. It's usually the time of year where it rises the most north of east because of the seasons and the tilt of the earth. So I know I'm heading east northeast. So more east than northeast, but yeah, whatever path I thought I saw is gone, unless it went somewhere else. Yeah, it looks like it's just open terrain. This was what I expected. So I'm gonna keep heading up this gully just to see where it leads. If it doesn't lead to where I want it to go, I can either bail out, head somewhere else, or head back the way I came, because this gully leads straight down to that old roadbed that crosses the PCT and also just leads right to Onyx Summit. So getting lost is really not a concern as long as I pay attention. If I stay in the gully or if I leave the gully, just keep note of where I am. But yeah, there's a taller, narrower juniper there, and that's not an old growth one either. But yeah, but I've even seen them narrower than this in more densely wooded conditions. So sometimes you'll be thinking you're looking at an incense cedar in the middle of the driest part of the area, and no, you're looking at a juniper, all right. They just tend to grow taller and narrower in forested conditions, like most trees do, actually. when they're spread out in more spaced out woodlands, then yeah. All right. Well, looks like I'm gonna have a lot of deadfall to contend with here, so I'm just gonna have to kind of just mind my way through this. And has to be expected. It's a random gully. You have to expect logs. If you're in a wooded or forested area, you have to expect logs to be strewn across the gully periodically. So this is nothing I haven't dealt with before. Pretty sure something I'll be dealing with again some other time. Probably just hike over the branches there. Well, let's see how this adventure takes, or where this adventure takes me. Does it actually take me to Onyx Peak? A very different way. I've always wanted to try a vastly different way to climb up Onyx Peak that entailed at least a modicum of cross-country travel, and if successful, this will be it. If not, then no. As long as I'm careful where I'm going, it's just an interesting adventure. So we'll see. Obviously, the title of my video will give it a clue. Now here I am again, looking at what almost looks like a scuffed-in path. Again, my mind might be tripping. Again, maybe looking for patterns. Could just be the lay of the soil. But again, don't take this as oh yeah, there's definitely a trail here. Yeah, it's just my mind trying to matrix things, or whatever you call it. Make patterns. Like when people see elephants and clouds and stuff like that, it's kind of like that. Look for familiar shapes. Well, so far, besides a few logs, travel up this gully is pretty easy. It's class 1. I haven't had any class 2 yet. Soil here in the gully is actually fairly good as of now. And yeah, so far pretty easy. Now the gully's gonna be leaning this way, so once I get up there, I might have to make a route finding decision, make a game time decision to see which way I should go. But we'll see. Take it as it comes. All right, well, on I go. See you up the way. All right, well, so the gully's starting to flatten out to almost like a small amphitheater over here. So it looks like so it kind of opens out into like a bowl, like a half of a bowl shape. So my intuition tells me to go a little more southeast, because from Onyx Summit, the peak should be a little bit more to the southeast. So I'm gonna go follow up this way a little bit. Not to go too far astray. Let's see what happens when I reach this slightly flatter portion here. Let's see. there a slightly flatter area here. So much higher terrain over there. Definitely a little tired from yesterday's hike. Did to Onyx Peak near Idlewild. That one, guess I wasn't used to the elevation. Today, I'm even going to be at a little bit higher elevation, provided I make it up to the top of Onyx Peak. Okay, so my intuition, I guess, is a little off in the sense of peak was going to be this way, but should be more up this way. Trying to see if I see any human-made structures up there. Yeah, peak's over there. So basically, you just got to follow this. Probably follow the ridge. Probably just to get up there. Like I said, I wanted to try an off-trail climb to get to Onyx Peak. Well, I'm doing an off-trail climb to get to Onyx Peak. And this one shouldn't be overly difficult. Again, that gully was pretty simple and straightforward. Just had to duck around a few deadfalls, but no super big deal. So I'm gonna have to aim up that way, because I can see the summit towers up there. So just want to see which way will be the best to get up there. Looks like there's a game trail here or something. So the peak is actually northeast of the gully. It does help to have at least a general lay of the area. Onyx Peak being the most prominent this side of Highway 38. It does help. Wanted to try an off-trail way, and boy, this is an off-trail way. Figured up the ante a little bit, at least get some cross-country hiking in. I do love me some cross-country hiking, as evidenced on some of my videos. Now, if I can get to a place, usually if I can get to a place via trail, especially the first time going for it, I'll get to it via trail. But if I go to the same place multiple occasions, I like to spice it up a little bit. And this is my way of doing it. All right. On the way back, I'll probably follow the road or the trail on the way back. But till then, just keep on climbing northeast up this ridge. Keep you posted on my progress. Come up maybe a couple hundred feet. Just probably have a few more to go, I'm assuming. Towers don't look that super far away. So I'll just head up through this rubber rabbit brush here. Ericameria nauseosa. Don't ask me what subspecies this is or variant, because I can't tell these buggers apart. I can't tell these little buggers apart. There are a bunch of different variants and subspecies of Ericameria nauseosa. And you basically have to be more advanced. I think you have to be more an advanced botanist to do that. So we'll stick with the generic and specific name instead of the subspecies. Yeah, it sure is beautiful up here. It feels great just to be up here in the mountains, just getting some fresh air, some exercise. And there's the mountain range I was in yesterday, way off in the distance. I wasn't that high up though, I was clear on the other side. But yeah, the San Jacinto range, that's where I was hiking yesterday at this time. I was kind of early on in my hike up to, well, what was going to be Red Talkwish. I'm going to have to double plan that again. Plan it for a cool autumn day. Maybe on my next vacation. Because there's going to be a lot of downhill as you leave Chinquapin Flats. Ooh, Tetrademia canescens. Gray horsebrush. Later on this summer, this thing will be covered in yellow flowers. And then in fall, they start to get these kind of star-shaped seed capsules. Yeah, this is Tetrademia canescens. It's a pretty common find in this area of the San Bernardino National Forest, especially in pinyon juniper woodland and drier Jeffrey pine forest and woodland. All right, well, enough yapping and some more walking. All right, might be hard to see on camera because of the sun glare. That's kind of where the tower section is up there. So I'm eventually going to have to migrate towards this direction here. Let's see. It's like there's another gully. Might be able to follow that to get over there, perhaps. There's a gully just down below me, but I'm not feeling like losing all that elevation just to get back in a gully. So see if I can angle myself towards the gully, and that'll probably lead me closer to the summit area, which is my goal, obviously. Okay, now we're gonna see what's going on over here. This one is a little looser now that I'm on more of an open slope. Looks like I might have to bushwhack a little bit. Trying to see if I can get towards that gulch over there. I don't know if I'll be able to angle myself too easily to get over to the gully. We'll see. As I'm heading more north-northwest now. That's the direction I'm heading right now. North-northwest. Alright, maybe kind of heading away from the gully. I'm trying to see if I can maybe pass through, just climb up this a little bit, and then curve my way around. See maybe I can get a clear line of sight to the gully. All right, I think I can do it. All right, I can do this without some bushwhacking. I'll take it. There's a gully right there in question. Probably start following that up. So I'm gonna work my way over towards that gully, and we'll see. All right, so with a little bit of difficulty, I made it over here to this gully right here. This one's definitely a steeper gully, that's for sure. A little steeper. I'm heading more of a north, in a more northerly direction now. It's good to know. Good to have an astronomical frame of reference for cross-country travel. Just so you know what direction you're heading. I've had bad luck with compasses. I've always had bad luck with compasses. It's always good to know how to use one, but I don't know, for some reason I have bad luck with them. So I like to use my knowledge of stuff like where the sun rises during certain times of year, because the sun rises due east on the spring and autumn equinoxes, then rises far to the northeast, sets in the far northwest during the summer solstice, and sets far southwest and rises far southeast around the winter solstice. And then obviously, once the first day of summer hits, then it starts rising a little less due northeast, a little bit less northerly due of east, until you hit the autumn equinox area time. All right, well, sorry for the sun glare, but look at this beautiful, beautiful curleaf mountain mahogany. What an absolute stunner. They get bigger than this. Believe me, they get bigger than this, but this is an absolute stunner right here. One thing about the Big Bear area, you get some absolutely stunning mountain mahoganies. And they just rock. They just rock. They are just such awesome plants. And then they run, sometimes they're shrubbier, especially when they're younger. But when they get much older and haven't been disturbed by fire or being mechanically knocked down or whatever, these things can get large. There are some areas here where they're well over 20 feet tall, and they have massive trunks on them. Oh man, that's one thing I love about hiking, especially in the drier Jeffrey pine forest and pinyon, especially when you're in areas where you're mixing with junipers and pinyons. It's absolutely phenomenal how big these things get, and I think they can live well over 1,000 years. Try not to point too much towards the sun. I kind of left the gully a little bit, heading more towards the northeast right now to where I saw the towers. So again, being that I do have quite a bit of experience in cross-country travel, I can only recommend it so much, especially for people who might watch my videos and don't have a lot of cross-country experience. You want to have good navigational skills before attempting any off-trail travel. So I do it for myself mostly, and to show off the beauty of the less traveled areas. But my recommendation comes with making sure you know what you're doing before you do it. Research, get really proficient at regular on-trail hiking, then learn the maps, topo maps, study Google Earth. And obviously it's not always going to be successful. I've done cross-country hikes where I've had to turn around and say, I'm not going to put myself in a bad situation. And it is possible. You run a higher risk off trail of running into a bad situation. So my recommendation is, if you want to be an off-trail hiker, you got to get really experience with on-trail hiking, then navigation with maps, and maybe you'll have better luck with compasses than I do. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just weird like that, whatever. But get yourself familiarized with on-trail hiking, and then maybe you can try some very short little off-trail trips where you can just kind of just walk around, make sure you study your landmarks all around you so you know which way to head back. Learn where the sun rises. Learn where the sun sets. Because it's not going to be due east and due west. It's only like that for a very short period twice a year between the fall equinox and the spring equinox. And that's a very, very short time window. So learn where your sunrises are, your sunsets. Do yourself a favor and pay attention to all of that before even attempting cross-country travel. And when you do, make it a short off-trail hike, making sure you're able to identify landmarks around you, especially landmarks in the direction you want to return, like back to where you're parked. So it takes practice, it does take some determination, and it does take a significantly higher risk than if you were to just use the trail. So again, my hike, these videos that I post are basically me trying to show off the beauty of our landscapes, and I do like to show off these areas to show that there's a lot more than just what most people see. But I advocate common sense and knowledge. If you get into a situation where you start wandering a little bit and you don't feel comfortable, turn around. Turn around sooner rather than later. And if you do get lost, and that is a real possibility on off-trail travel, if you do get lost, make sure that you have the equipment with you in case you need to get bailed out. It might happen. It's very important. All right, I'm gonna get you on the next clip. I'm almost at the summit already. Yeah, I figured my clip was gonna run out, so that's why I kind of shut it down. So what I was saying before is off-trail travel does have inherent risks. If you're good at navigation, I definitely can't say don't do it. I'm just saying be aware. So that's why I'm doing this little disclaimer. I don't know if I do that enough because I have done quite a few off-trail hikes in my travels. And I'm not just saying here just randomly just walk up a mountain. Make sure you know the layout of the land before you start doing these things. I'd feel bad if somebody just literally looked at one of my videos of walking up a random gully saying, okay, cool, let's do this. You gotta make sure you have an idea of where you're going, how to get there, and the sense to bail out if it's not going to work out in your favor. I'm just about at the peak already. So please, I've done this for several years now, off-trail hiking, so I'm used to it. To me, I always have the plan in the back of my head that if my off-trail route doesn't work out, I'm going to follow my landmarks to get myself back. So I'm going to do that and save myself from having to try to find my way from being lost. All right, we're near Onyx Peak already. It's a much shorter way to get up here. Probably didn't even hike a mile to get up here. Basically, I approach from the southwest. I'm just gonna go look for where the actual peak marker is. So, this is my first time above 9,000 feet in a few years. I think this might have been the place I was at my last 9,000 feet back in summer of 2020. I think this was the place I was. I think. All right, so now time to go look for the high point. All right, I'm gonna go look around for it. I'll catch you up when I'm there. All right, so this is where the summit area is, right here. So this will be my, I believe, third time up here on Onyx Peak. Highest elevation I've been to in a few years. Again, I think this was the last place I visited above 9K. So, all right, this is it. Onyx Peak, 9,113 feet above sea level. Up here in the San Bernardino Mountains. All right, there's our triangulation benchmark. Pretty cool. Honestly, difficulty-wise, just a little bit of, in my experience, there was a little bit of navigation, of course, and then there were some pretty rocky gully sections, but again, this is not an invitation just to randomly decide one day, okay, I'm just going to walk up a mountain peak. Again, make sure you know where you are. Make sure you have experience in cross-country travel. Very minor, easy cross-country travel before you start up in your game. But yeah, Onyx Peak. I think this is my third time up here. So looks like I'm gonna have to switch out some batteries, and then I can get my summit selfie, and then I can start. Look like I can start pointing out some views. Yeah. Okay. I'll catch you on the next clip. All right, so it might take multiple clips to get views because we do have a lot of tree cover in the radio towers and repeaters. So let's see, where am I going to start? I'm going to have to probably walk around the summit to get some of these views. So I'll start by looking out towards the east. And that's looking down towards, I believe, the Little San Bernardino Mountains and the Mojave Desert, probably near Joshua Tree and stuff like that. I'm going to swing it around towards the north. I have to move around a little bit. Looks like there's a little breeze up here, which feels great, but it might make a little bit of noise on the camera, so bear with me. I'll try to work my way over here a little bit. Okay, so we're looking more towards the north. And way off in the far distance are the Ord Mountains. The one on the left there is Ord Mountain at 6,309 feet. And that lower one to the right there, that's East Ord Mountain at 6,168 feet. I've done a hike on that one, and I released it in a series of clips. I was going to try to edit that video and make it into one, but that's when my computer failed. So I should be able to redo it at some point. So we'll see how that works out. And then, let's see here. Let me zoom back out. A little bit closer at hand, towards the northeastern extremity of the San Bernardino Mountains, it looks like we have, I believe that's Granite Peaks over there. I think that's Granite Point, Granite Peaks East, and Granite Peaks West I think is over that way. I believe that's what that is from here. That should be Granite Peaks. And I believe that's Tip Top Mountain over there on the other side of this broad valley. So it looks like Tip Top Mountain over there. So I'm gonna have to migrate around the summit a little bit to get you some more interpretive views. So let me go ahead and shut this clip down and work my way around the summit so we can take care of this. All right, so our views to the northwest are a little hazy. But I believe that one way over there, that should be Delamar Mountain, I believe. But let's go ahead a little more toward the west, towards the west over here. It looks like we got that one up there is Lightning Gulch Point, 9,465 feet. I think that's Peak 9306, I think. That's one of the subsidiary peaks. It might be a little further up. But yeah, that should be Lightning Gulch Point over there. That's a hike I did back in August of 2019. Then, of course, the high one over there is Sugarloaf Mountain. I was hoping to eventually get back up there again. Well, I've only been up there once, and that was back in 2016. I haven't been up there since. I want to get back up there. And I think that one there might be Peak 9385. I did Lightning Gulch Point. I didn't quite get that far. And I believe that's looking over towards the Heart Bar Peak areas. Now we're starting to look more towards the southwest. I think that's Peak 8,868, I believe, is what that one is there. So I think that might be Heart Bar Peak, if I remember correctly. And that's where the Heart Bar area is down just off of Highway 38 as it's swinging its way towards Angeles Oaks. And then we got the San Bernardino Peak divide, I believe. We've got there, it's like Anderson Peak is the highest peak along that portion of the divide. And then we're looking over towards, I believe, Grinnell Mountain here below. Obviously, that's San Gorgonio Mountain right there. That's San Gorgonio Mountain right there. And we're looking more towards the south. So yeah, you have to kind of walk around a little bit to see the views. But they're there if you look around. It's not a very sharp peak. It's kind of a broad summit plateau. So like I said, you kind of have to look around a little bit to get the full experience. But, ooh, a jackrabbit. Cool. Yep, another ooh moment. That's whenever I see wildlife is usually an ooh moment. All right, well, I'll start pointing out some of these trees and stuff up here pretty soon after I get another sip of water. Kind of interesting. The last time I was up here on Onyx Peak, it was kind of a backup hike. Just like today it was. My original plan was to head up 2N93 off of 38 to the Green Canyon trailhead where you pick up the Sugarloaf Trail and hike up towards the ridgeline on the left side and hike up to Peak 8918 and possibly up to Sugarloaf depending on my energy level. And then 2N93 was closed. So, which would have made probably an extra mile or two of walking along the road to get to my trailhead, and I just wasn't having that. And so, again, I hiked up to Onyx Peak in lieu of hiking Peak 8918. Yeah, so this is kind of like my second string quarterback hike, and I don't mean that to diminish what I think of this mountain peak. I think it's a fantastic summit. It's got some prominence. It's got a lot of natural beauty. Of course, it's got a lot of roads and stuff cutting through it and radio towers on it, but it does have some fine older growth mountain mahoganies, as I pointed out in my 2020 video. Some of you who might be newer to my channel probably haven't seen that, because that's back when I used to divide my videos into parts because I didn't have video editing software. So I'd record a clip, upload it as a part of a set. It'd be like part 1 of 10, part 2 of 10, part 3 of 10. Now that I do, my individual videos would have made up a 2-hour video, but now it's just one solitary 2-hour video. I don't know if this will be quite as long here, because when I hike back down, I'm probably just going to take the road, combination of road and PCT, to so I don't have to be off trail too long, especially now that it's warming up and the snakes will be coming out. So I want to kind of bide my safety on that a little bit. That's another thing about off-trail travel. You run a greater risk of coming across venomous snakes. I mean, yeah, you can see them on trail. You'll see them on trail. I see them on trail too. But when you're off trail, sometimes the ground beneath you is not as clear-cut. Shrubs, branches, rocks, and stuff like that. That's another caveat if you want to do off-trail travel, is you got to be even more snake aware than if you were actually on even used trail or maintained trail or dirt road. So that's another caveat. But okay, enough of my PSA. Let's just enjoy the natural beauty up here and enjoy these mountain mahoganies. Curleaf mountain mahogany or curleaf circuit carp is an absolute stunner specimen. I'm so glad to be seeing them again. These are always fantastic shrubs, and I really enjoy being around them. Just absolutely beautiful shrubs, and these kind of walk the line between shrub and small tree. And I say this all the time, that it's just a matter of semantics, and it's of very little importance to people like me who appreciate shrubs and trees the same. I love shrubs just as much as I love trees, because I just find plants in general are just fascinating. But yeah, we got these old stunted junipers up here. But yeah, some places here in the San Bernardino Mountains, these junipers get absolutely enormous. But yeah, I just love walking through this grove of mountain mahogany. I'm going to come up to one that's got a very large, girthy trunk on it, and I want to show you. This one's more of a small tree, but look at the girth. Look at the circumference on this. I've seen, well, if you combine the two into one, I've seen 120 foot ponderosa pines with less circumference than that. And there's that bark. There's everything about this species is beautiful. And if you come here in later summer, after these have flowered and started setting seed, they get these little feather-shaped seeds that if you're behind one that's behind the sun, it's an absolutely cool, it's an absolutely awesome sight to see mountain mahoganies. And that's all species of mountain mahoganies with their seeds backlit by the sun. It's really neat. So that's something that you got to experience. And we've got lower elevation ones. You don't have to go as far to see those, like birchleaf mountain mahogany. And in Riverside and San Diego counties, you get San Diego mountain mahogany, and those ones also get the same type of feather-shaped seeds, or tail feather type seeds. That when they're backlit by the sun, it's kind of a dazzling, shiny whitish display. It's a little too early for their new ones. It looks like we're starting to get some flower buds starting to develop. So these ones up here, this elevation, you're going to be looking more like August when you're going to start getting the really awesome displays. And these are actually not that hard to grow from seed either. Once you get them to germinate, what I do is get the seeds. Obviously, if you're in a protected wilderness area, you don't do that. But if you do happen to chance upon the seeds of it, it's easy to germinate them. And I've been able to germinate 2 different types of mountain mahogany. Birchleaf mountain mahogany and curleaf mountain mahogany is I soak the seeds, and then I put them in a moist paper towel, put it in a baggie, and put it in the refrigerator, and check on it periodically. And usually at some point they'll start sprouting roots on them. So I've been able to germinate curleaf and birchleaf mountain mahogany. So get the seeds, put them, maybe soak them in water for a day or so, then put them in a moist, I wouldn't make it overly wet, but a nice damp paper towel, wrap them up and put them inside of a Ziploc bag and put them inside the refrigerator, and more than likely you'll end up having them sprout within anywhere from a couple weeks to a month or so. I've never tried San Diego mountain mahogany. That one might be endangered, so I definitely don't collect from that one. I don't collect from the San Diego mountain mahogany. If I could find seeds online, I would order it. Preferably, it's preferable to order seeds online, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure you could probably order curleaf mountain mahogany. Now, if you want the specific variant that grows here, which is variety intermontanus, that might be a little more difficult because a lot of times sellers of the seeds don't often distinguish between the variants. Like I ordered birchleaf mountain mahogany seeds online, and there's no indication what variant it is. I'm assuming it's variety betuloides, Cercocarpus betuloides, variety betuloides, but I can only assume. And yeah, it's because a lot of people really don't. A lot of people, especially not more involved botanists, probably won't take as much time to distinguish between each variant of the plant. So that's something I like to be able to do, is to distinguish between the variants of the species or the subspecies, just for my own personal knowledge, and just so I can show other people, yeah, this is the variant we have here, because a lot of plants have different subspecies and different variants. Like there are at least 3 different variants of curleaf mountain mahogany, and this one here is the one with the broader leaves. The broader leaves that are they're about the same width, but they're not curled under as much. And this is variety intermontanus. There are other variants like Cercocarpus ledifolius, variety ledifolius, that might be much more curled might be much more curled. And then there's another one, variety intricatus, both of which I'm not sure that actually grow here in the San Bernardino Mountains. I think our typical variant is variety intermontanus. So yes, plants do have morphological differences, sometimes slight DNA differences, and they're afforded different variants and subspecies statuses. So if you order Douglas fir seeds online, you just say if you order Douglas fir seeds, you want to grow a Douglas fir tree from seed, a very noble pursuit. My friend Brett, he's been known to grow lots of Douglas fir seeds. He's ordered seeds online and everything, and he's had them germinate a lot. Sometimes you're not sure what variety you're going to get. If you know where it's sourced, you might be able to map out what variant you have. He has been able to get a hold of Pacific Douglas fir, his preferred variant, which is the one that grows along the Pacific coast and in the Sierras. But if you order just Douglas fir seeds without any source of where it was collected, you could get Rocky Mountain Douglas fir or Pacific Douglas fir. And depending on where you live, you're going to want to know what variant you're growing. You're going to want to know. If you're living in New Mexico, you're gonna definitely benefit better from growing Rocky Mountain Douglas fir. Oh, sorry about the sun glare. You're gonna benefit more by growing the Rocky Mountain Douglas fir. If you live in San Francisco, you're gonna benefit much better by growing the Pacific Douglas fir variant, which grows in groves around the Bay Area. So it's always good to research where the seeds are collected or where the seeds are made, or grown, made, before you go and just order them blindly. Like birch leaf mountain mahogany, it does grow in other states as well. So, more locally grown stock is probably better for where you are if you're going to order seeds online. Let's go walk through this juniper, a little stand of junipers up here. They're such noble trees up here in the drier portions of the San Bernardino Mountains. Such gorgeous trees. That's beautiful. Look at that. What a beauty. I think I'm going to start getting ready to leave the summit area. Look at that. There's a bark. That cinnamony colored bark. It is very similar to its incense cedar cousin, which is found in the moister locations here of the San Bernardino Mountains. Generally well below 9,000 feet. I usually don't see incense cedar much above 7,000 feet. Occasionally I've seen it at 8,000 feet in wetter coniferous forests, but usually don't see incense cedar much above 7,000 feet. Except locally. But yeah, here we are. Curleaf mountain mahogany, curleaf circuit carpus. Once again. What a stunner. What a stunner. What a beautiful small tree we have. And then here we are on the other side of the road. This is going to be the road we take back, by the way. This is more shrub form here. It's not as old. Probably when it's older, it'll get some barer stems. But yes, here we are. We're going to start taking the road back. Might catch up with the PCT and take that back to vary the scenery a little bit. Because last time I was filming, I filmed the road hike. I just did the road hike. So we're going to have about 3 miles to get back to the car. Roughly about a 6-mile hike if you just take the road. Probably somewhat similar if you take the PCT. But I'm just going to start walking down this. Start making my way back before it starts getting really hot. It's pretty nice right now. It's probably in the 60s, but down at Big Bear it's supposed to be in the mid-80s today, I believe. So I want to get the more rigorous activity of the day done early, and then maybe I can move on to a few spots and maybe get a couple spotlight videos and stuff like that going today, where I don't have to do rigorous hiking to get to a spot. Yeah, pretty cool peak. It's been the third time I've been up here. All right, time for me to start walking my way down the hill. I'll catch you along the way with some more updates and hopefully some interesting plant and hopefully some animal finds. Here we are, botanical find number 1 on the way down. The beautiful beavertail cactus. Yes, it does grow up here at about 9,000 feet. Opuntia basilaris, variety basilaris. And it looks like it's going to be blooming more probably later on this month. It's starting to get flower buds on it. Really cool. Because last time I was around beavertail cactus was back in January when I was hiking in Anza-Borrego Desert State Park at a much lower elevation. So yeah, that's yet another one of our plants that occupies a very wide elevational range. Sometimes you can find them down in I think you can find them down in Temescal Valley, which is east of the Santa Ana Mountains in western Riverside County. I think you might be able to find a few there. It's mostly a desert to pinyon juniper woodland species. So pretty cool. I guess this is closed. This area must be closed to vehicles now. I mean, I don't have a four-wheel drive, and even if I did, I'd rather hike it than drive it. Feels like more of an accomplishment when you get up there on your own 2 feet, or if you bike it, because biking requires a lot of physical effort too. If I can hike it, I'd rather hike it. Now, getting to trailheads, that's a little different story. Since I don't have a four-wheel drive, some trailheads I have to start hiking. Further back. Oh, we got ourselves a Sierra lodgepole pine, baby! Look at that. Pinus contorta subspecies Murrayana. Yep, yesterday was the first time I was up next to one in a very long time. Here's another small lodgepole pine right here. So yeah, we are high up in elevation. And this is obviously a north-facing slope over here, so that's why everything is denser. And of course, that's why you see a lot more white fir and pine mixing in. And there's a humongous Jeffrey pine down there. Hold up. Right there. That's a massive Jeffrey pine. Oh, that thing is huge. Oh, wow, that was a big tree. Ooh, they do get big here in the San Bernardino Mountains. I'll tell you that right now. There's some pretty big ones. There are some pretty big ones near Big Bear too. There's some at least pretty tall ones. But some of these other areas that are a little off in the cut, kind of off where there hasn't been as much logging. Sometimes in these canyons and stuff, these rugged canyons, sometimes you can still find some much older growth trees. So a lot of these mountains were logged very heavily 100+ years ago. So that's why there are a lot of areas where it's mostly younger forest. Thankfully, the forest was able to come back after that. I will say though, this dirt road here is pretty scenic. But when I get to the junction of the PCT, I'm going to take the PCT. Here's a nice, beautiful single-leaf pinyon. Oh, and it's getting cones in it too. It's got a lot of cones that are going to ripen this summer, early fall. Yeah, nice, beautiful Pinus monophylla. That's a beauty right there. That is a beauty. Yep, that's one of the main pinyon pines of the south. One of the main pinyon pines of the further southwest, meaning closer to the west coast. Further inland, it becomes replaced by the Colorado pinyon, Pinus edulis, which is the main pinyon pine of the interior southwest. Colorado, eastern Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, it's Pinus edulis. But here, a little bit closer to the Pacific, single-leaf pinyon is very much a common abundant tree in the eastern Sierras too. Very common here in the San Bernardino Mountains. So, just take time to appreciate our single-leaf pinyon trees as well. Yeah, beautiful hike. But yeah, like I said, since I didn't film the PCT portion, because I didn't hike the PCT the last time I was here, I'm going to film a little bit more on that, and I'm going to give this a little rest for the time being. And I'll see you along the way. We'll see what other crazy things I find. Oh, I can see Silver Peak. I'm going to zoom in pretty far. Yeah, that over there. That's Silver Peak. 6,756 feet. I did that hike back in January 2019 during a brief warm spell between copious rains that winter. Yeah, that was a hike I did. That was that was a pretty rigorous off-trail hike. I intended to hike up the Sierra Club, because that's the Sierra Club HPS peak. I intended to hike up the Sierra Club route, which involves hiking up a gully with a very faint, scuffed footpath and a small cable running along the side. Failed to find it on the way up, so I ended up on a gully probably about a half mile away. This extremely steep gully climb, class 2, with some loose soil in spots, and that was a tough one. And then I followed the dirt road that runs along the top of Black Hawk Mountain, the top of which is Silver Peak. It's also called Black Hawk Mountain. So I was walking along the truck trail and then found a way down and ended up finding the HPS route with the little cable running along the side for part of the hike, and then made it back. That was a pretty rigorous hike. I did edit the clips into a video with a hiking map of my route, if you want to take a look at that, if interested. That was a pretty rigorous hike, and for being January, it was surprisingly very warm. It was we did have a warm stretch at the end of January 2019 before more big storms hit in early February. So that was a pretty rigorous hike. And I was hiking up a south-facing slope blasted by the sun, because the sun is up in the southeastern part of the sky in the morning, so that sun was directly on me, and it was hot. But that was a beautiful hike, though, I'll tell you. That's where we get Utah junipers, Juniperus osteosperma. Juniperus osteosperma is a pretty close relative of the Sierra juniper here in the camera frame. But yeah, you get more Utah juniper over on that side, and it's not very common. It's very scattered here in far southern California. You basically here and a couple spots in the San Gabriel Mountains in northeastern LA, western San Bernardino County. Well, look at this beautiful single-leaf pinion here. Look at that. What an absolute stunner. Pretty decent sized one. I've seen them get taller than this, obviously. But just a beautiful broad domed tree. But yeah, Silver Peak. And that hike is pretty much off where the pinyon, you get pinyon juniper woodland there, but it's even more arid than it is here. It's drier than it is here, because it's just basically Silver Peak. Again, there it is. Black Hawk Mountain is basically the last hop, skip, and jump until you get down to behind is Black Hawk Canyon, and you're near Lucerne Valley. You're in the Mojave Desert. You're near Lucerne Valley, near it. And you're basically, hop over that, you're in the Mojave Desert. And you got Joshua Tree growing all over there too. So yeah, that's where you know you're close to the desert, when the Joshua Tree starts picking up. I wouldn't call it true desert, but it does have a lot of desert elements. Again, Joshua Tree, you have to go northeast of Big Bear to really see the Joshua trees. And you'll see them up to about, maybe up to about 7,000, a little bit over 7,000 feet. A couple spots near Nelson Ridge. And that's kind of transitioning between pinyon juniper woodland. And that's more pinyon juniper woodland, but as you go further on, it gets more numerous, and then the Joshua Tree basically becomes a desert transition symbol. All right. See you on the next clip, and we'll see where we are. So I'm at a junction here. This is the way you're going to take to get back to Onyx Summit. We got this here. Almost curious to take this some way and see. I don't know. Dead end. Highway legal only, huh? No access to Pioneer Town. I guess if you're driving, if you're hiking it, this is 1N01. That's a Forest Service number here for this one. I'm going to walk down at a short distance and see. I don't think I'm going to go super far. But let's see. Let's just take a look and see what's going on over here while I'm out here. And however far I go, wherever I go, I will be including this in my hiking mileage because I am kind of interested in checking this out and seeing where this goes. All right. Some of these Jeffrey pine cones are a lot smaller. If this loses a lot of elevation, we'll see. Maybe not, I don't know. But it'd be kind of worth just checking it out to see where this will head. Wow, it's beautiful out here. There's a pretty tall Jeffrey pine right here. It's a pretty nice looking tree. So I'll just see how far I feel like going and at least add a little exploratory action to this video. Never walked up or down this dirt road here, 1N01. Can't hurt to see what other things I could find. Hopefully it heads towards that denser forest. Maybe I can see some more lodgepole pines and limber pines maybe. It is starting to head towards a denser slope, so we'll see. Well, we've entered the taller forest again. Now we're on our north-facing slope here. And I thought I saw a couple big limber pines too. Since we're not at a full blast of the subalpine zone, since we're not there, might get some big limber pines mixing in. Yeah, I see a couple pretty big ones too, actually. Obviously not going to be as big as the white firs and Jeffrey pines. That's not going to happen. Jeffrey pines and white firs are usually much larger trees than limber pines. Here's a limber pine right here. Is the first one of the day. Pinus flexilis. Oh, and now I get my first up close of a lodgepole pine of the day. Here we are. Pinus contorta subspecies murrayana, tree with a lighter colored bark right here. Here's a beautiful Sierra lodgepole pine. Ooh, some nice smelling sap too. Yep. And here's a narrow limber pine right here. This is a limber pine right here. Kind of similar looking when they're younger and narrower, like the lodgepole pine. So you got to look at the cones. These are limber pine cones right here. They're small, relatively lightweight, and no prickle on them. However, lodgepole pine cones are much smaller. This is a Sierra lodgepole pine cone right here. Really small, kind of squat, with a really small downward facing prickle at the end of the cone scale. The edge of the cone scales on limber pines are just like their other white pine relatives. Smooth edge, no prickle. There's a bigger one up there too somewhere. I just saw it. Yeah. So looks like this is gonna be a little botany field trip. Taking a field trip for my normal hiking. There are a couple bigger limber pines up there. Looks like we're going to start losing some altitude here. So like I said, I'm just going to follow this for a little ways, and as long as it doesn't go downhill too much. Fortunately, there's a limber pine that has passed away, unfortunately. Oh yeah, this is a beautiful forest here. I'm glad I took this extra dirt road here, 1N01. This is absolutely intoxicating here. I've always been curious about taking this side trip. As many times as I've been in the area, and it's a few times now, I was hoping there'd be some tall forest here. Well, there's some tall forest. Pretty big Jeffrey pine right there. Gosh, some of these Jeffrey pines are huge. And we still have, and see, then we got a Sierra juniper there too. All right, on I go. At the end of that last clip, I got a text from one of my coworkers at work. I actually have a signal up here. Oh, that's crazy. I actually have a signal here in the middle of this dense, beautiful forest. That's crazy. Didn't expect to have a signal here. Yeah, I heard my phone going off. I'm like, huh? And I was able to send a reply real quickly. That's crazy. Look at this. Oh, this is spectacular. This is what I needed. Yeah, see that right there? That's a limber pine. That's about probably a 60-foot tall tree. Usually limber pines are not very large, but when they're in these shady or north-facing slopes away from the icy blast of the alpine winds, they can get pretty large. Here's another one right here. That's a limber pine right there. Oh, this is absolutely gorgeous here. There used to be I guess that's a lodgepole pine. Crazy. Oh, wow. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be a longer video than I anticipated. Especially the extra adventure. The cross-country hike up, the completely off-trail climb up to Onyx Peak. And now, the side trip that I think might even be more interesting. And I'm a peak climber. I love getting up to peaks. But this is just icing on the cake. Look at this beautiful white fir right here. What a stunner. Yeah. Oh, wow. This is definitely an extra treat. So this hike will definitely be longer than the 4 miles I anticipated it would be. I don't know how much further I'm going to go. Like I said, I'm going to see how much energy I have in the tank. Now that we're relatively flat, actually, I was going uphill a little bit. I expected this was going to go just start going downhill and staying going downhill for the foreseeable future. So maybe I won't have that much climbing on the way back. So I got to save enough energy to go back down. As the temperatures are warming up, it's going to start getting probably more uncomfortable. Right now, that's fine. It's warm, but it's not oppressively hot yet. It's still in the morning. It's only a little bit after 9:30 right now. So I'm just taking my time enjoying this. I was going to have to find a spot to apply some sunscreen pretty soon, especially if it's going to be even longer than I anticipated. Of course, due to my own intentional action. So it looks like we're moving out of the tall forest and back into our beautiful Sierra junipers, our beloved Sierra junipers. We got some more limber pine up ahead. Yeah, here's not an old limber pine, but an older limber pine. Right there in the center. It's a nice looking limber pine. So we got limber pines are mixing. They got them mixing in now with Sierra junipers. As we're changing aspect here, this is more of a northeast facing slope. Not as shady as that last gully, but here's that limber pine again. And these are two limber pines here too. These are limber pines. But look at that. What a magnificent tree. That's a beauty right there. That's a stunner. All right, let's go follow this a little bit more and see. Yeah, look at it. It's beautiful over here. Look at this. Yeah. So around this corner, you get more of a forest going here too. I can see the radio tower on top of Onyx Peak, way up there. So I got to figure if I want to make a big uphill climb on the way back. So I think this road's going to keep going downhill for a while. Well, I can go down this. This will be a relatively short climb on the way out. Just have to man up and handle it like a big boy. Like I said, I just don't want to be climbing up like 1,000 feet to get back. Especially as it's getting hot out. But yeah, just keep looking at this. Keep looking at these north-facing slopes in the forest over here. Just keeps enticing me to continue on a little bit more. Now it's predominantly Jeffrey pine and white fir, with occasional pock markings of Sierra juniper, for good measure. Yeah, see the road over there is pretty level. Doesn't look like I'd have a big climb. Just have a couple of uphills on the way back. I'm just seeing what other things I could find along this way. Make this hike a little more substantial than just climbing a peak and dipping for the day. I mean, I still have a nice chunk of the afternoon to enjoy this mixed Sierra and conifer forest. And that's what this is called, mixed Sierra and conifer forest. Also, this is also a drier, higher elevation subset of the yellow pine forest. Because Jeffrey pine is a type of yellow pine. It is a type of yellow pine related to the ponderosa pines. So it is a relative of the ponderosa. And white fir is a pretty common fixture in the yellow pine belt. In other words, the main, it's also known as the Sierra and mixed conifer forest, and also the stereotypical montane forest here in California. But here being a little bit influenced by some of the desert down below, we also get the single leaf pinyon and Sierra junipers, adding an extra little touch of flavor to this absolutely enthralling mountain landscape here. Beautiful here. And of course, further up ahead, we do get a lot of the upper montane conifer forest, the upper montane forest with lodgepole and limber pines, which are pretty staple at higher elevations here, especially here in Southern California. Occasionally, we'll find lodgepole pines near Big Bear Lake, just above Big Bear Lake at like 6,800 feet. So, yeah. Look at these junipers. Here's some nice, rugged Junipers grandis for your viewing pleasure, and mine too. Definitely my viewing pleasure. Yeah, some people might confuse these with incense cedars, but typically, I don't think it's 100% of the time. It might be an occasion where an incense cedar grows near a juniper. It might happen. I don't really see it happening, but I guess it might occasionally happen. But Yeah, occasionally they do assume the shape of an incense cedar when they're in a forested situation. Look at this down this canyon here. Beautiful Jeffrey pines. Look at it. This is why I come. This is a big reason why I come to the mountains, not just to climb peaks, but to just experience the trees. I love being around the trees. I love the forest. This is absolutely gorgeous here. I gotta get a few pictures of this. Well, I found an interesting botanical curiosity just down this gully a little ways. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can work my way down there. See if there's a way I can work my way down there without scuffing myself up too much. But there's some type of a shrub that I think might be Rocky Mountain maple. If that's the case, this is the second place I've seen Rocky Mountain maple. First place was along the Sugarloaf Trail coming up from Green Canyon. So I'm gonna have to try to work my way down this. All right, so bear with me, but I have to check this out. I have to do it. All right, maybe I can use this to climb back out. All right, let me catch up with you when I'm down the gully. Well, I can confirm my suspicions. This is Rocky Mountain maple, Acer glabrum variety diffusum, and we have it growing here just under 1N01. This is Rocky Mountain maple. How cool is that? This is the second population I've seen of this plant. It tends to be more of a shrubby thicket. But yeah, this is Rocky Mountain maple. How cool is this? Only a second location I've ever seen this shrub before. This is an actual legit species of maple. It's flowering right now too. Yeah, it's got small yellowish flowers. And the leaves are tiny, even smaller than on the population near Sugarloaf Mountain. You hike up the Sugarloaf Trail up from 2N93, you'll see these about a quarter of a mile into your hike. You'll start seeing them along the trail, and then they become more numerous for a little while at around 7,700 feet, I believe. But yeah, this is a Rocky Mountain maple. Very rare here in Southern California, extremely rare. I've only seen it here in the San Bernardino Mountains, but you might also find it in some places in the Sierras maybe, and some other spots. But yeah, this is a legit maple tree. The leaves on this one are pretty similar to the ones in the Sugarloaf area, the Sugarloaf Mountain area, but a lot of those actually have their leaves divided into 3 leaflets. These ones are just lobed. But yeah, this is an actual legitimate species of maple. And I think it's one of its only type here, because maples are divided up in groups due to similar characteristics between species. But yeah, this is Acer glabrum variety diffusum here at the beautiful San Bernardino National Forest. Yeah, and I saw this out of the side of my eye, thinking to myself, something looks familiar about this. The light bark, the upright shrubby stature, small leaves that are oppositely arranged, because maple leaves are oppositely arranged, and voila, Rocky Mountain maple. I found another population, and I see I saw a couple more down this gully, which I'm not going to go that far down, because I got to climb this back out, but there's at least another one over there behind this white fir tree. But yeah, we've got a small population of Acer glabrum variety diffusum. How cool is that? This is mostly a Rocky Mountain States tree. That's the thing, is the San Bernardino Mountains have a lot of affiliation with the Sierras, a lot of similar flora to the Sierras, but also have some Rocky Mountain affiliations as well. And this is one right here. This is mostly a Rocky Mountain tree. probably different varieties of Acer glabrum, but this one is Rocky Mountain maple right here, right underneath 1N01, just a short distance down the gully. How awesome is this? This is what I'm talking about right here, folks. And this time I got to see them in bloom. I've never seen them in the late spring. I've only seen them in the summer and fall. In fall when they were just starting to shed their leaves. So what an incredible find here. I gotta get some pictures of this beautiful shrub. So yeah, there we go. Rocky Mountain maple. Ended up having to go down there and do an instant spotlight video. So be on the lookout for that probably before this is uploaded. Scrambling out of that gully kind of took the wind out of me. Look for a place to sit back for a few minutes. Just need to sit down for a couple minutes. Oh boy. Whew. All right. Have more lodgepole pine. Yep. Trees that grow up in the subalpine belt. And just almost a stone's throw away is the desert. That's one thing I love about Southern California. Things are, since a lot of these mountains grow close to the or close to the ocean, you could be on top of a mountain peak surrounded by lodgepole pines and white firs and limber pines. You can look one direction, you'll see the ocean. You look another direction, you see the desert. That's more for the San Gabriel Mountains. It's more for the San Gabriels or high up on San Gorgonio. Usually when I go to the San Gabriel Mountains is usually when I get to experience that, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm gonna just sit down for a few minutes, kind of take a leisurely break, get something to drink, and again, admire this beautiful forest here. Might be coming up on my turnaround point pretty soon, if not here, but I'll kind of decide that in due time. So I'll see you on the next clip. This is one bird that I've been sitting down there for maybe about 5-10 minutes. I wonder what kind of bird makes that call. He's been doing that just constantly. So cool. It's the sound of nature. The sound of awesomeness. So I guess I am going to continue a little bit more. Just when I scrambled out of that gully was kind of made me a little tired. Like I said, I'm still kind of feeling the tired effects of yesterday when I did Onyx Peak, especially on the way back down. You know, it was just heat sapping my energy. Oh, nice young limber pine. So let's see. Just want to see where this is going to go. I feel like I can put on a little bit more walking. I mean, this is not a really extremely steep road either. I will have a bit of uphill on the way back. I'm actually going slightly uphill right now, so it's not going to be all uphill, which is actually good. Give me a break periodically. Yeah, I believe, if I remember correctly, where I came from, I think right there near where that notch is, somewhere around there, I think is where the road curves off from the Onyx Peak access road. I don't remember the Forest Service number for that one right now. Probably typing down the screen somewhere. Well, that's it. I came in. I climbed up Onyx Peak, cross country up a gully and slope, and then headed down the Onyx Peak road, and then branched off on this one for an extra piece of adventure. And boy, am I glad I did. I am so glad I did this side trip here. This will probably might be longer than my hike to Onyx Peak itself. Because I think when I climbed up to Onyx Peak, it had to have been less than a mile. Less than a mile up the cross-country route I took. Had to have been less than a mile, if not significantly less than a mile. When I map it out on Google Earth, I should be able to have a better idea of that. I think what I might do is I might go along this for a little while more. It's pretty level here, actually. It'll dip down a little bit more, but wondering if I can maybe visit a random peak along the ridge here to even add a little more flavor to my already awesome morning. Oh, look at that. Look at that curly mountain mahogany. Oh, that's a nice one. Wow, what a beauty. Yeah, that's beautiful country out here. I think I can continue for a little while. Still got a lot of daytime left, obviously. And on the way back, it'll all be road. On the way back, it'll be all road. And maybe Pacific Crest Trail, which shouldn't be a problem, even if I was out here much later. But it's not even, I don't think it's even 11 o'clock yet. So I got flashlight. I got a flashlight, headlamp, AA and AAA batteries. So I'm good in case I end up making this a much longer adventure, which I don't think it'll be that long, but I'm going to keep on this for a little while and see what's good. Here's a massive Jeffrey pine. There's a big one right there. Another pretty decent one right there too. That's a pretty big Jeffrey pine right there. That's a decent sized tree, I'll tell you. Yeah, this is a pretty big tree. Wow. What a beauty. Pretty nice. There's another decent one here too. Yeah, Jeffrey pines tend to get bigger here in the San Bernardino Mountains. Alright. Onward and outward. Any other surprises coming my way? That Rocky Mountain maple one was a big one for me. I believe we got Lewis flax out here. Or some type of flax. It looks like Linum lewisii, Variety lewisii. I've seen Lewis flax over in the Laguna Mountains in San Diego County in Cleveland National Forest. I think we might have the same thing here or another relative. It's blooming right now. But this is significantly higher than the 5,800 feet that 5,800, 6,100 feet I would see it in the lagunas. So I'm making my way around the bend here. Looking at maybe hitting a random peak. Looks like it's going to be, since I'm heading out this way, since I'm already this far out, may as well just go for it. I got sunscreen on, still have a fair amount of water. I'm on a easily navigable dirt road, so I do have a couple snacks in my pack. Plenty of batteries, plenty of memory. I think I have another memory card in there, so should be able to handle this like a pro. So let's see. I'll get up to this saddle, and I think I'm going to climb up to that small summit right there. That'll be my second peak of the day, and we'll see. Alright, so I'm just about at the junction of where my second off trail of the day is going to be. or actually technically 3rd. So I'm going to go ahead and see. Getting up to this peak over here. I think these peaks are about 8,600 feet. I remember mapping them out once, years ago, on Google Earth for eventual peak climbs, but never made a serious effort to get over here. So I'm going to get over to this part here, right at this little saddle, because now I'm going to go look for a trail departure, start heading up towards this. Maybe I can follow this a little bit further. The first summit along this ridge is going to be along this way. Very mature mountain mahoganies here too. So let's see, where would be a good place to leave the trail? Maybe about over here? This shouldn't be a severe climb as far as I can tell, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. It's very old mountain mahoganies here. So I'm gonna leave the trail about here, I guess. Start worming my way up cross country. Bugs are getting in my mouth. Let's see. See how much prominence this peak has. Probably not much, but I want to get to another summit, so I'm doing it. All right, work my way up this, and I'll keep you updated. Okay, so we're gonna go up this way a little bit. Watching where I step here. Just gotta go down this little dip, and then should be a slope. I think the peak's up there, I think. Probably, maybe I should have left the trail a little later. I don't know. Let's see. Figured being close to the saddle would probably have been a good idea. Usually, I mean, sometimes you got to look around to see what the terrain looks a little more favorable for your mobility. But usually near saddles is where I end up doing so. I don't know, maybe this might be the last peak I do, I don't know yet. I have a ways to go to get back to the Onyx Peak Road. And it is warming up, but let's see. I think this peak's about 8,600 feet. I think one of them along this way is peak 8596. It might be that, I don't know. Let's see. Well, let me keep working my way up this and keep you updated. I think I'm getting near the peak. I think I am. I'll see what's beyond this rock jumble here. Not super difficult getting up here, but it looked like there were a couple of false summit along the way. Pretty short time getting up here. Let me just go around the summit block, or what I think is a summit block, make sure there's not another peak behind it before I look to scramble up the boulders. No, this is it. That's where the peak is. All right, let's see. How do I want to get up here? Probably be able to get up here class 2. Looks like. Let's see, make sure I don't step where there's a snake. All right. Okay. All right, class 2. Nothing more than class 2 to get up here. All right. Here we are. Next peak of the day. All right. Made another summit climb. Yay, all right. Peak number 2 of the day. That's where I was a little while ago. Right up there on Onyx Peak. Try to get a quick 360. I don't know how many more, if any more, I'm going to climb. I do have a nice hoof along the dirt road down there. A lot of it's going to be uphill, but do a 360. Starting off by looking west-ish towards Onyx Peak, swinging it to the south. San Gorgonio over there. South. Southeast. East. Northeast towards the Mojave Desert. North towards Rodman Mountain. That's Rodman Mountain. Rodman Mountain Wilderness. That's a 6,010-foot peak in the Mojave. We wanted to climb that, but I haven't got to it yet. Northwest. And swinging it back around to complete the 360 back at Onyx Peak. So yeah, pretty good views up here. Actually better views, slightly better views in certain directions than on Onyx Peak, because it's a lot barer up here. I might make this my last climb. We'll see about that. But this is the 4th peak I've been on. No, 6th peak I've been on in a week's period. Because this time last week I was hiking Monument Peak and Hayes Peak in the Lagunas. And then yesterday I did Taquish Peak in some 8,600-foot random peak just off the PCT between Saddle Junction and Taquish Peak. That was over in the mountains above Idlewild. But yeah, pretty cool. Good view up here. Quick class 2 scramble to get up to the top. You can kind of just pick your own way. There's some class 3 ways to get up here, but if you can do it more easily, do it more easily if you can, unless you want to challenge yourself. Try to save up some energy, because I will have some uphill on the way back to the dirt road, the Onyx Peak dirt road. I can't remember the Forest Service number right now. I'll probably flash up on the screen around now. But I was almost going to go for those peaks over there, but I think I'm gonna stay off of that. Speaking of peaks, I point out Rodman Mountain off in the distance, but that looks like Tip Top Mountain right there, a 7,600-foot peak that a lot of off-road enthusiasts drive most of the way up to the top thereof. That's a pretty cool peak. It's a little bit out there in the cut, a little bit. Find a better way to get back down to the road. Probably go along this way. Yeah, I can see the road over off in the distance. But like I said, it's not a very long hike to get up here from the road. Probably a quarter of a mile or less, roughly, give or take. You will go up a couple of hills, some steep spots, maybe have to weave around a few boulders, and then you're pretty much up here. You get a couple of small false summits, but it's a very short distance to get up here, so it's not like it's gonna dishearten you. But yeah, you do get a couple of quick little mini false summits, and then you'll find this rock pile here, and then yeah, this is the highest point in the immediate vicinity, so this is the peak. So pretty short off trail to get here. Again, Onyx Peak is just up there. I'm estimating this peak's probably about 8,700 feet. So I'll have a more precise, or at least more approximate elevation when I post this video and everything. All right, well, I'm gonna start getting ready to head back and go down these rocks and then start working my way back towards the trail or the road. So I'm working my way across the slopes here, trying to work my way back to the Forest Service 1N01 dirt road. Here's one of the false summits you might encounter. The false summits you might encounter along the way here. More of that Salvia pachyphylla. One of the last pictures I took. Desert sage up here. Awesome stuff. A month or two, that'll be in full bloom. And it will be striking. Usually more midsummer, actually. We went around these old Sierra junipers. So I'm working my way back to 1N01. Let's see here. Another small class 2 section here. Or maybe not. Let's see. Maybe not. Not necessarily. Oh yeah, I remember passing that juniper on the way up, so I'm pretty close. Maybe just about 20 feet off of my ascent route right now. I remember that old juniper right there. Passed on the way up. Well, I think I see the road already. Yeah, I can see the road already. Like I said, it's a very short walk coming up here and coming down from here. Not too bad. Okay, just about to rejoin 1N01. Maybe a little off of where I started up. All right, well, let's see here. Here we are, just a little off of where I left the trail to begin with. Here we are. I think this will be it. I'm going to start heading back before I end up having to hike 20 miles. But at least I'm putting in some miles today. I can use the rest of this afternoon just to putz around and hopefully maybe getting some spotlight videos and get something refreshing to drink and eat. I got some cold water still in my pack. Luckily, my motel has a refrigerator, so I could pack. I couldn't freeze the water. It has a freezer section, but it didn't freeze my water. It just made it nice and cold. But I wanted to at least have a frozen water bottle to help keep the other ones colder. But So far, all the way up to my last water bottle, it's been nice and refreshing, as opposed to yesterday. I had room temperature water, and as I was hiking back from Onyx Peak, it was so unappealing. So on my way to Big Bear from Idlewild, stopped off in Banning and got a soda and one of those naked juices, the blue goodness one, or the blue thing, the blue naked juice, which are absolutely delightful. And it never tasted better than it did yesterday. Ooh, a little lizard. All right, so I'm gonna have some uphill, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of keep the clips to a minimum until I get up to the Onyx Peak Road, and that's when I'll start heading down. Probably join the PCT and take the PCT way back down to Onyx Summit. So, see you on the next clip. So I'm working my way back. There's the peak I visited right there. Right over there. Why does it look so far away? Why does it look so far away? That's weird. It doesn't feel like I've hiked that far from it. Like I said, I was considering going for some of these ones over here that might have a little more prominence, but I just decided I didn't want to overdo it and everything. Maybe one day when the weather is much cooler and have more stamina. But yeah, that was the peak right over there behind that tree. So I'm making my gentle uphill grade back. It's not too bad. Definitely feeling it a little bit more because I've been already out for a good few miles, but so far not too bad. Once I make it back to Forest Service Road up to Onyx Peak from Onyx Summit, it'll pretty much be just downhill, and I'll probably take the PCT to vary the scenery on my return trip. So, all right, away I still go. Now we're back in one of the small forested sections around this gully here. So this is so beautiful here. More of those birds. I don't know what kind of birds make those kind of crabby noises. Oh, I think I see one. That's on the trunk of the juniper. I want to see if I'm not going to be able to identify by sight, because there they go. I wonder if those are a type of woodpecker. Looks like they got a white stripe on their tails. They have some white and some dark coloration. Can't get a good view of them because they're all far away in the other juniper tree. Yeah, look at that juniper right there, in fact. That's a narrow one. I love when they grow like that. Here we are, right here in the tree. There we go. Ah, gosh, I need to learn more about my birds. Kind of a gray body, some dark on the wings. Pretty interesting. Beautiful birds, though. Can't tell what they are. Well, I guess I'll have to go on the Cornell Lab of Ornithology website and see if I can find the bird that makes that rah sound. Earlier, it was just one that was going off when I took a break a little bit further down. Took a break somewhere over there. I was sitting down, and I heard one of them going off, and on and on. And what kind of bird is that? Now there are a bunch of them. Beautiful birds. Here's one right here. In fact, it's got a gray body, dark wings, some black on the tail, and a black stripe on the tail too. If anybody knows before I could find out, or unless if I don't find out and put a name on the screen, if anybody knows what species that is, do me a favor, please leave a comment. I love learning about, as much as I can, I love learning about our wonderful features here, and birds certainly are the wonderful features. All right, well, here I go. It's gentle uphill on the way back to the junction, back to the Onyx Peak service road. See you on the next clip. Ooh, we got a little penstemon blooming up here. This small penstemon right here. Penstemon caeseus. Look at that. That's so cool. Look at that. That's beautiful. Finally caught one in bloom up here. Penstemon caeseus. Common name, I think it's San Bernardino beard tongue, or San Bernardino penstemon, I think. But I know the botanical name of that one. Penstemon caeseus. Seen a few other ones along the hike here. That was the first one I saw with flowers on it. I had to point that out. Here's another one here. It's not blooming yet. Very small, low-growing penstemon. It's gonna be blooming soon, though, it looks like. So, yeah, a lot of this is uphill. I'm on a level stretch right now. A few spots kind of made me huff and puff and stuff, but it's not that bad. It's not a huge mountain climb on the way back to the junction, but it is mostly gently uphill, so it's not that bad. Here we are in the forest again, just looking absolutely stunning. Beautiful trees here. Admiring all of this. All right, well, time to keep on trucking. See you back at the junction unless something else comes up, botanically or wildlife. All right, back at the main junction. So, here are the signs again. 1N01. So that's where I just came. That way is to Onyx Peak. That's the way I came from Onyx Peak. And this is where I'm going to be heading. I'm going to bear right. Start heading down the hill. Time for the payoff. Time for the downhill. Had one last little climb to get to that junction. Now it's downhill. And I'm glad. Starting to get tired. Being out here in the sun on a warm day definitely gets tired. And there was the peak I visited right there. That was the peak I just visited before returning back this way. That was pretty cool. At least I made it to another peak that I've never visited before. So, all right, time to move along. See you down the way. All right. So as I'm ambling along, trying to keep an eye out for the PCT. Should cross through, and I'll probably be, most likely, will be grabbing it here on the left side of the trail, on the left side of the road. If I should be able to come across it. I'm trying to, like I said, the first time I hiked this back in 2017. My friend and I took the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail, then got on this road, and from this road we worked our way to the summit. And I'm pretty sure we went back the same way we came. So I got to keep an eye out. Most likely going to be on this side of the road here for the PCT. Like I said, I do kind of want to vary up the scenery a little bit, because I did film this hike back around 2020. So maybe I can vary it up a little bit and show another different perspective on getting back to the trailhead. Of course, the extra hike I did out to that random peak definitely added some variety, and also my ascent route was very different. But we'll see. We'll see if I can find the PCT soon, and we'll see. Keep my eyes out for it and let you know when I come across it. Alright, so I've been hoofing it along for a while. I haven't seen the PCT yet, unless I passed it. And possibly. Maybe I did, I don't know. Maybe I was on the road longer than on the PCT that first time. See Highway 38 over there. So, yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Been looking down a lot to make sure I don't step on a snake or on a rock badly. Yeah, it's not too hot yet. It's warm, but it's not that bad. But the sun is definitely bearing down. Not gonna lie. So we'll see. We'll see if I come across the PCT, unless I passed it and didn't even realize it. If I did, oh well. If not, then I should be able to pick it up. We'll see. I get a good view towards Baldwin Playa, or Baldwin Lake. It's only an ephemeral lake, but it still has water in it after our rainy season. It's that kind of aquamarine color structure there in the center. That's called Baldwin Playa or Baldwin Lake. It's got water in it, at least that part. That is so cool. How cool is that? That's so cool to see that. So yeah, still working my way around. Obviously haven't seen the PCT, so I'm not on it. But there you go again, looking at San Gorgonio Mountain. Pretty neat. I think this time last year there was a lot more snow on it. All right. Looks like somebody's doing some road work down there. Interesting. Yeah, I kept hearing sounds of metallic scraping, and I wasn't sure what it was. Now it looks like somebody's doing some road work down there. Yeah, I can see the traffic slowed down to a crawl. Maybe it's one lane now. Yeah, there wasn't any action going on when I came up here. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll be able to get past it. Probably will. Might be a one-lane road. Oh well. There's always some kind of construction going on. Either on the 18 or the 38. Always seems to be something going on with that. So, you live in a mountainous area with rocky hillsides. Yeah, you're gonna get rock slides. That's just the way it is. Ooh, what kind of butterfly was that? Oh, I just caught a refreshing breeze right now. Yeah, it's not too. The temperatures are not too bad. It's warm out in this direct sun, but the breeze is actually very refreshing. This is the most breeze I've felt in a while. So I'm just here appreciating it while I have it, because I still work my way here along the road to and from Onyx Peak. Well, let's see if I find the PCT. Unless I missed it up there. I'll find out. Yeah, it looks like I missed the PCT. I'm just about back at this gate here. Getting pretty close to my car, I can see. It's like highway construction. Workers right at the pass. Hopefully I'll be able to get out of there. But yeah, here we are. Just about at this last junction where I'm going to turn right, head downhill to wrap up this hike. So yeah, I completely missed the Pacific Crest Trail. Completely missed it. Completely missed it. So let's see what Forest Service number this is. Okay. Maybe here's a sign here. Oh, it's also part. Oh, it is part of 1N01. Interesting. All right, well, this is where it's going to end for me. Right over here. Oh, lucky me, I get to try to figure my way out of this. Oh well, this is where I'm going to stop filming, because my car is just right down at the end of this lot. Well, this is about it for me. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my video as much as I enjoyed filming it. And hope to see you on the next hike.